Hello and welcome to Gearhead 704. I'm Matt and we have another episode of everything wrong with my FOXBODY. I know these are a lot of fun. You guys seem to like them. I enjoy them, but this time we actually have an 87, and look guys, it's not a convertible. I know we've done a lot of convertibles, we've done coupes. I don't know if we've done a hatchback yet, actually. This might be the first time, I don't know, but this is pretty cool. It's an 87 GT, obviously. And I do have the owner here with me who is, gonna let Matt beat up his car. So let me go ahead and bring him in. Here he is. Hey, Joe, welcome to the channel.
How's it going?
Good, good. So this is your 87 GT, I guess.
Yes, it is.
So how long have you had this one, actually?
I have had the car about almost 4 years now. I got it from my uncle, who had kept it when my cousin passed away. My cousin was the one that originally bought the car.
Oh, okay.
I believe when he bought it, he was either the second or third owner. It's been in the family a while, yeah.
Why did you have it here at the shop? Obviously, it looks very original. Is it modified at all or pretty much stock?
No, it does have aftermarket exhaust on it, but other than that, I believe it to be completely original.
Yeah, and most of them do. So if you can find one with the original exhaust,
right,
I mean,
exactly. You don't see that. You don't see them completely stocked.
Right, and actually at 35 years old, I mean, I don't know, those rotted the mufflers be rotted out. I guess at the original, probably.
Yeah, more than likely. I don't drive the car nearly as much as I should. Obviously, a lot of people have that problem, I'm sure.
Yeah, a lot of people don't drive these much anymore. You know, things break. You know.
Yeah. So I really, there were a couple of small, just concerns that I had about the car. I want to keep the car on the road. My biggest thing is I want to be able to drive it. So the number one thing is the AC didn't work.
Okay.
So I wanted to get the AC fixed, and then when we got it in here, Matt started looking at it and he's like, you know, I think you might have some other things that we might need to tackle before you get to the AC.
He spotted those probably like, did he spot those in like 5 minutes or 2 minutes?
It was about 5 minutes. He popped the hood. He's like, well, this is wrong. That's wrong. This doesn't look right. I'm like, well, I guess we're going to have to do an inspection. And
He's very good at that. Yeah, the first time, I had one of my cars over here and I was like, hey, Matt, what do you think? And he like rips the headliner that's already sagging down. He's like, well, you need a new headliner. I was like, well, okay, I knew that. What else? Oh boy.
The biggest thing is to keep it roadworthy. I do want to eventually restore it, kind of update a few things. I'd like to, update the suspension, just make it more drivable, more fun to drive. But I don't have any big like modification plans to it. I'd love the car to stay kind of a true survivor to what it was, considering that it does have fairly low miles on it. It is in such good shape and it really has been unmolested.
Yeah, it is original paint. I forgot to ask you, what's the mileage on this?
I think at last check it was just under 90,000 or just over 90,000 original miles.
Okay, so not even 100,000 miles yet, and this is the original paint, and really it's holding up pretty well. I mean, there's a couple spots here and there, but
yeah, you've got the typical Ford crappy summer issues. That
it was a one-stage paint, you know.
Exactly.
So
they just kind of went for it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it stays garaged, and obviously it's been very well taken care of, even by the original owner.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a great car. It gets a ton of attention, and I love it and want to keep it as nice as possible.
I like what you said there. Isn't it amazing how much attention these cars still get even today when you see them going down the road?
Oh, yeah, it's crazy. I bring this car anywhere. Funny, it was one time I had my daily driver was in the shop. I had to go down and do something, so I brought this. A couple guys that actually like knew what they were looking at, and they're like, whose car is that out in the parking lot? Next thing I know, there's like a crowd of like 5 or 6 people out around the car in the parking lot. It was pretty cool. Yeah,
that's Fox life. So how are you feeling though? Like Matt's about to kind of roast your car. How you feeling?
I'm okay with it. I want to know the issues.
Exactly.
That's why I brought it here. I'm totally okay with whatever he finds.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that I haven't done a lot with the car since I've had it. So it's great to have somebody that knows what they're looking at. And is going to shoot me straight and find out exactly what the car needs to stay on the road. I
agree with you. I think it's better to know. So on that note, we're going to go ahead and get Doc Fox, or whatever we're calling him these days. We're going to yeah, I don't know. We're thinking about it. All right, well, we're going to go ahead and get the car inside, and we'll let you and Matt go through it, and this should be fun.
All right, yeah, look forward to it.
First things we're going to notice here, your drive belt, feel the surface of that belt, it's sticky. It's got stuff like this on it. You can see it looks like rubber all over this fan pulley right here, all over that fan pulley. It looks like rubber. So what they've done is they've had a major squeaking problem with this belt, and there's something they sell, it's called belt dressing. It's literally just a tacky material you spray onto the belt to try to get it to stop squeaking. It is a band-aid to fix a problem that they're not actually fixing. Okay, so I can tell you the reason this belt would be squeaking and they had to do that is because the belt is way too long. You see that arrow? You see that range meter?
Yep.
That arrow should be in the middle of that range. Not only that, this tensioner is almost fully decompressed because this belt is so long. So it's an easy fix, We just need to put the right size belt on. Your fan blade is starting to crack. Not only that, you see how easy I spin that?
Yep.
Your fan clutch is on its way out. And the way you can tell, these are hydraulic thermostatic clutches.
Okay.
And when they go bad, they leak out the front. And not only that, they don't have much tension. So what that means is when the fan needs to be engaged to be drawing air over the radiator, like when you're come to a stop at a stoplight, that fan clutch is not pulling enough air over that radiator to properly cool the cooling system. Fan blade, it is cracking. It's not horrible. At any point it can come apart, and when they come apart, they'll take out fan shrouds, definitely take out radiators, and the build just gets really expensive from there. Radiator cap's pretty old, and the rating, I've never seen one like this. It says 15 to 18 pounds. So basically what that means, if it's 15 to 18 pounds, that means that's an 18-pound radiator cap, which means you need to have 18 pounds per square inch inside the system to be able to purge that cap into the overflow bottle. This system is rated for 16 pounds. You're 2 pounds too high. That means your cooling system, the evac and recharge of the cooling system isn't working properly. Gotcha. Because you'll notice there's a hot and a cold level on the overflow bottle, because as it heats up, everything expands. So once it reaches over 16 PSI, it'll purge the extra into the coolant bottle. Then when you shut the car off, it cools down. And when you have a sealed system that you put pressure in and then you cool it down, that pressure now becomes a vacuum when it cools down. And then what happens is it sucks that coolant back into the system when it cools down. So that's the process that this is supposed to be using to keep your cooling system operating correctly. And when people run cars with like a cracked bottle or no bottle at all, their full cooling system level just keeps going down and it never replenishes. It purges, but it doesn't replenish. Your ignition module. I was talking to you about the ignition switch. It's one of the things that's going to leave you on the side of the road real fast. Ignition module is the same thing. It looks like an older aftermarket ignition module, but in my experience, any of the aftermarket modules don't last. So that's considered a preventative maintenance thing. Gotcha. It's working right now. There's no apparent problems with it right now. If it was my car, I would put a Ford on just for the confidence, just to have the confidence of driving it. Right. The tune-up, we had talked about that. Your spark plug wires were never trimmed, way too long, and the biggest problem, having them too long really isn't a huge deal, the length itself, but where the length comes into a problem is when you start rubbing up against all these metal components. You know, the wire's rubbing on the dipstick here, it's rubbing on the AC hose here, it's rubbing on the AC hose here. You got two of them rubbing on a fuel line here, another one rubbing on a fuel line here. This tune-up was done, we talked about this, it was done probably about 20-30,000 miles ago. We do know there's a slight running issue, not huge. I suspect it's probably just a simple tune-up would fix a lot of that. Your throttle body cooling lines. These appear to be the last of the original hoses on the car. You can see this one says Motorcraft. It's really faded right there. Yep. This one right here. That E6 on there, it says Motorcraft, and that E6 means 1986. That's just the engineering number. That's when they started using this hose, but this hose is original from 87. The reason I recommend replacing those is preventative maintenance. It's old rubber, eventually it's gonna blow out. That does have full cooling system pressure in it, so that has the potential to blow out like any other hose. Power steering system, I didn't see a leak or anything on the rack on this one. The only thing that I saw was a problem on the power steering system. It's a little low, but the biggest problem, it's a little dirty. Now you can still see some of the red there, yep. So this isn't horrible. With this, without it leaking, you could probably get away with a flush if you wanted to. There's no leak in the system right now, so it's really the only problem I see. Typically, if I see contaminated fluid and there's any part of the system that's leaking, pump, rack, or hose, I recommend replacing the entire system, because if, let's say we put a brand new rack on there, leave the pump and the hose, we're just gonna pump contaminated fluid to the brand new rack. So that's why typically, you know, I recommend a full system replacement, but yours isn't bad. If you wanted to go 100%, not have to worry about it, we could replace everything. That's an extreme preventative maintenance. It would be something I would do on my car, but this, if you wanted to, we could get away with probably just flushing it if you want to tackle it at all. Okay. But that's something to keep in mind. Will the contamination actually cause you a problem? The only problem it's going to cause really is the pump may start whining soon, which is just annoying with noise. And then if there's a lot of contaminants, it could start messing with the seals and actually create leaks.
Struts and shocks have been replaced?
So about 5-6 years, maybe a little bit longer. It's time to replace them. It didn't do it every time, but as you know, like a bad strut or shock, if you bounce it, if it goes more than 1.5 times up and down, it's worn out. The other thing you can do, if you push it down and it stays or it comes up slowly, the valve in the strut or shock is sticking. And this one here, see now it's doing it.
Let's try that again.
You want to see that again?
Yeah. Oh yeah, look at that slow rise. Yep.
That's a sticking valve of the shock.
Oh, that's better though.
You see that?
Yeah, that's not nearly as bad.
It's like on its limit. You get about 1.5 bounces at it. It's at the limit of going out. So really you need struts and shocks for a nice comfortable drive and for tire wear. I do have on here, you do have factory springs, 34 years old. Yeah. They're not working. Springs are actually supposed to be replaced about every 60,000 miles. They wear just like everything else. They're holding the entire weight of the car, and that metal does fatigue and sag, and springs lose their elasticity over time. Get you up on the lift, we'll pick it up, take the tires off, and go over the rest of it.
They are already looking. It is up in the air. Joe was excited because it's the first time he's seen the car up on the lift, but yes, they're getting into it here.
Obviously, you got a drain pan leak here. One's done a timing cover, and then sectioned out the section of the oil pan gasket. The timing cover kits will come with a little 90-degree cork piece.
Oh, okay.
Again, I don't recommend using those because, hey, look, they leak oil.
I see the cork there.
That is actually, if we do the oil pan gasket, the oil pan gasket is one solid piece. And then, like I said, the timing cover kits, they had this cheat where you can cut the front of the oil pan gasket off and put this stuff in here, but it's almost impossible to get it sealed up. I don't even like doing it. I just like to do like the whole oil pan gasket. Your suspension was tight. Your ball joints are real close to worn out. I would probably recommend replacing these as a preventative maintenance. If you go more than a year or two without replacing them and you go to get it aligned, they're probably going to tell you they can't do the alignment until they replace them. Your outer tie rods are original as well. And the bad thing about, one of the bad things about the original tie rods and ball joints from Ford is they weren't serviceable. There's no grease fittings. You got to just take them out and put new ones in. Obviously your pinion seal's leaking. Okay, so that means several things. Your fluid's going to be low in here. And actually, if you look up over here as that spins, you see it just flings it. You get a big circle. Where it's just flinging that gear lube. Okay, so that means this is going to be low on gear lube. You probably has excessive wear in the bearings and the gears. Not only that, we did check your clutch packs. I can check the axle play, the in and out axle play. That tells me the wear on the traction lock or the posi traction clutch packs. Yours is at limit. Limit's 30 thousandths. They wear very slowly. A brand new one's 25 thousandths in play. Maximum wear is 30 thousandths. You're at like 29 and 30 on the other side. So with combination of those clutch packs being worn, we know it's been ran low on fluid, and we actually have a pretty good external leak. Really should look at just rebuilding the rear end. So this is really like the biggest ticket item that we're looking at in the car is you should get the rear end rebuilt.
All right, looking at fuel lines, guys.
Look right here. You see this?
I know exactly what we're pointing out here.
Can you see that rub spot right there? Right there where my finger is? That's from that rubbing on the exhaust. That one that's rubbing is the pressure line from the pump to the filter feeding the engine. Somebody's been in this fuel tank before. Everybody does this. These lines are supposed to be routed behind this strap to keep it off of the exhaust. You would think doesn't make sense, but that's the way Ford engineered it. And if you look at it, the strap is curved. And also if you feel it, it's curved. Rounded? It's rounded. And it's made for that. Exactly. And then everybody who does this, even most mechanics, they pull that strap off, they don't do that, and they put it right there, and next thing you know, your high pressure fuel line on your hot exhaust.
There's no big deal, right?
Yeah, no big deal. That'll be fine.
Little bit of play. You see that up and down play right there? Right there? So there, that slip yoke goes into a bushing. That bushing's kind of lined with the same type of material that like ham, crank, and rod bearings are. When that starts to wear out, drive shaft yoke will have play up and down. Plus, it starts leaking fluid externally, which, as we know, we got so much oil, we really can't tell. But we do have play in that. It's not bad. If we do the bushing and seal now, we may be able to save the slip yoke. But if it's been bad for a long time, when that bushing starts to go bad, that slip yoke should be nice and straight. It'll start wearing it, and it'll taper in. So if it's already tapering, you need bushings and slip yoke. If you do a bushing and then put the old slip yoke back in, it's going to wipe out the new bushing and the new seal immediately. Transmission service, it's been leaking a little bit. I can't tell if it's transmission fluid leaking here, but at 80,000 miles, it's time for just a simple change of fluid in the transmission, drain it out, refill it, just to keep it fresh. If it is drained out, if it has leaked out a little bit, you know, that will bring it back up to the stock level too. Do the oil pan, the transmission's coming out, that would be a good time to do the rear main too. Front brakes looked okay. Didn't see any
that's nice, Joe. He said something looked okay.
Something looked all right. Something that doesn't need to be replaced.
If I would do anything on them, I would pull them back off and just lube the calipers, the slides. It's kind of dry. It is moving right now, but it's a little stiff. So that's something that really needs some maintenance. But as far as actually something needing to be replaced, it all looks good there. Right at the end of that thing. If you come back here, you may be able to see it better. See that line of rust right here? I'm knocking it off. That's a very small leak in your oil pump. That rust is from the steel plate between the aluminum timing cover and the aluminum water pump.
Okay.
That's a steel plate there. That's been leaking a little bit. So you do have a small water pump leak starting right there.
So we're looking at brakes. We do have a couple of leaky wheel cylinders. Yep. Basically, might as well go ahead and do new drums, right, Matt, at that point?
Yeah. We can spec out the drums, and if the drums have enough material on them, we can actually turn them and reuse them. The wheel cylinder is leaking. This is a dust boot, not a fluid seal. So when you pull this dust boot out and you've got fluid inside of there, like this one does, that means the piston inside the wheel cylinder is leaking fluid into the dust boot. And then that's what causes all this brake dust to clump up. Yeah, this is actually no longer any good. This needs a wheel cylinder replacement.
Other side's the same way.
Other side's the same way. We have a lot of meat on the shoes, but these are real old shoes. We got a lot of spider cracking in the lining material. So I definitely recommend replacing it on that.
And you noticed something else. We were talking about the rear end earlier, but so you got a little axle play here.
Yeah, well,
and a leaky seal or?
Yeah. We got a seal that's starting to leak, and wait, I do a little scrape around that seal. You can see we've got kind of some matted up dust brake material. So it's just real common when that seal starts to leak. And plus, this is how we can check the clutch in play for the posi lock clutches inside the rear end.
So that kind of verifies what you're already talking about under there. So.
Yeah. We know we got too much play on the pinion seal's leaking.
Yeah.
Well, we have too much play between the pinion and the ring gear. Pretty much at max limit on the clutch packs play right here. So yeah, everything's indicating that the rear end's worn out.
All signs point to rear end rebuild, Joe.
Awesome.
So tell Joe. Tell Joe.
Best news you could get, right?
Well, actually, I think
you need a new rear end.
it kind of could be a benefit, right, guys? Tell him what gears he should go with. Maybe 4/10. I don't know. All right, guys, and actually, we do have a little update. The inspection is pretty much done, but we said 90,000 miles at the beginning. I don't know if you can see; it's pretty dark in there. But anyway, it is 80,000 miles. So Joe, you got extra mileage there.
You got a little bit extra mileage.
Yeah, I mean, you need a new rear end, but you got extra mileage.
That's right.
So actually, it went pretty well. One other thing I didn't really put on camera, guys, is it was having kind of like a pop, and the exhaust wasn't running perfect. And Matt, you had a suspicion there.
Yeah, I figured they had bumped the timing up.
Yeah, and they is not Joe, the previous owners.
Not me.
Whoever, somebody. Not me.
Yeah, so the timing was up, around 13 degrees or something?
It was at 13, so I bumped it back down to 10. It immediately smoothed out and took care of the pop out the exhaust.
Right, because we knew, he did the vacuum leak test and didn't have a vacuum leak, which that could be another reason of that, I would think.
For surging.
Right, yeah.
Surging, vacuum leak could cause lean pops through the intake, not the exhaust.
Okay.
If I was getting it through the intake, then I would went a completely different route.
Gotcha. See, details matter, guys. Details matter. But anyway, yeah. So Ben, how are you feeling now? I mean, really, honestly, Matt, this was one of the better ones.
One of the shortest lists I've produced.
Yeah, they really were. So.
And it's actually Joe.
And I said Ben, didn't I?
Yeah, everybody does it.
But everybody does it.
Because it says Ben GT.
There you go.
Ben was my cousin who originally purchased the car from what I believe was the first owner. He then passed away.
Right, your cousin.
My uncle kept it, so the car stayed in the family. So that's just a little bit of a tribute to my cousin, because he's really the reason that I'm even into Mustang.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I knew that he had passed away, you said at the beginning, but okay. That's really cool. You still have that. It's still like, it's his a little bit. And
a little bit, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Well, I think Ben would be very happy you're taking such good care of this car.
Yes, he would. Hopefully.
I'm sure he would.
My cousin would want it to go a lot faster, but that's okay. He'll be all right.
Yeah, and I was kidding, by the way, about the 410s, but guys, I have 355s I think he should do. But anyway, you do what you want. Yeah, so how are you feeling, though, overall about the vehicle?
I feel great. I mean, a lot of it is stuff that I expected with the age of the car and the originality of the car. I feel even better knowing what I know and knowing that the car, we can get the car back to full roadworthiness with too much extensive work. And the knowledge that I was able to get from this is just invaluable. So
yeah, well worth it then, huh?
Absolutely, 100%.
Cool.
Awesome. I would recommend it to anyone that has a car and has questions. This is the place to come for sure.
Well,
I only do Fox bodies though. So.
There you go.
Well, if you don't have a Fox body, then we can't be friends anymore.
Right, that's all right. You know what? If they don't have a Fox body, they're probably not watching my channel, so it's all okay. Except we do have that green F100 out there, but anyway, we'll talk about that another time. So yeah, Matt, but what did you kind of think? We always ask you what you think about the car. What are your thoughts on it here?
Yeah, I mean, mechanically and just condition wise, I think it's absolutely an incredible car. And then you get to me personally, it's got a lot of my favorite stuff. And I was telling him, if this was a car, if I was looking for a car right now and somebody came across this car to me, I would probably hurt myself getting the money out to pay for the car. Because it's really a fabulous car. It's super clean, super clean. The interior is near perfect.
Yeah.
The interior is near perfect. And
It's all right. We can have duck quacks.
oh, okay, we'll do quack. All right,
Yeah.
gotcha. But yeah, I mean, I love the color. I love the drivetrain combo. I love the interior. I love the condition. There's literally nothing about this car I don't like or have a problem.
Yeah, what I can't believe is even like 34 years, you were pointing this out, the EGR hoses going in for coolant, the EGR, they were still holding up. I mean, you still recommend replacing them, but I mean, they're not leaking. That's crazy.
Yeah, they're not leaking. You know, at 34 years,
Yeah.
it's definitely time to replace to make sure they don't leak.
Yeah, but we're used to doing many of these where it's rear end, trans, I mean, all kinds of stuff. And so you only had some of those, Jeff.
Yeah, only some of them. The motor doesn't have to come out of it.
Nope.
So
Yeah, hey,
I heard that's a milestone.
that's pretty good. Yeah, mine's been out several times, but very cool. All right, well, thanks for letting us share it on the channel, Joe.
Absolutely, I appreciate it.
Yeah, and you are going to do some work, I believe, right, with
Yes.
him here.
Oh,
so
absolutely, yeah.
okay, so we'll probably at some point, guys, we'll probably have a little update on what happened, but and you're going to be at FOXBODY, I believe, is right?
Wouldn't miss it.
All right, definitely, that's going to be a blast, and I think this video will go up before FOXBODY. So, but you know, we'll find out. I'll find out. You'll know by the time this goes up. Anyway, that's it for this one. Thanks a lot, Joe.
Thank you.
And thank you guys for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit the like button. If you're stopping in for the first time, please subscribe because I do upload 2 times a week, every Sunday and Wednesday. We'll see you here next time on Gearhead 704.
And that's from the car skipping down the road.
Is that the FOXBODY skip, or?
I haven't heard of that, but maybe.
I thought it was like this. No.
Foxtrot.
Oh, okay, there you go. Yes, how did I miss that?
better.
Right? That's money, the
Come on.
Foxtrot.
There you
Jesus.
go.
A little oil. That hurts me and the viewers, Matt. Come on.